Okay, I want to show you how to do a strong heel. And it's not like, as it sounds, like a strong heel. No, it's a style of heel. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to take the loom and you want to divide it in half. And I'm using the 40 peg, and it ends up being 20. And you divide it by 3, and I think it ends up being like 6 point something. I think it's on the upper end. So, but I want 6 in the middle. Okay. And because you're going to be doing an increase out from that point. All right. So I'm going to choose to do 6. Now I want to use 2/3 in my increasing section of the loom. So what you generally want to do is you want to take 40 and you want to divide it by 3. Now I don't have my cell phone on me, but to do the calculator. Hold on, I can get this done. So we'll do 40 divided by 3 is 13.3, and so we'll round down and we'll do 13 times 2, and that's 26. So we're going to use 26 total pegs. Now that means you're going to be using 3 past your halfway point on both sides to equal the 26, is how best to describe that. So you're going to use 3 past your starting point here, so 3 past your starting point here, and then you're going to do 3 past your starting point here. So you're going to be doing that much of the loom, so where my fingers are all the way around. All right, you're going to be increasing to that much. And it'll be in my book how to do the math for this for any size you're wanting to make. But basically you're wanting to use 2/3 of the pegs, but you're wanting to use your third dynamic when you're doing your increase up from this middle section. And if I recall correctly, 6.6, so the sides I believe are going to end up being 7. Yeah. Okay, so here's how you want to start. Let me get back to my official starting point here. Okay, so here's how you want to start. I'm going to be going and knitting 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then I'm just going to yarn over that next peg, and I'm going to knit 6. And what this is going to be an increase. All right, just so you know, this is going to be an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is your center point. Okay, so there's your center point. You're going to yarn over that next peg, and then you're just going to knit your way around, all right, to the starting point. And you just increase by 2. And while we think that's a yarn over, it's actually an increase. And I'm going to show you how that works, because this pattern does stitch stacking, as I like to call it. So I'm going to show you how this works. Here we are back at our starting point. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to knit 5, then you want to yarn over that next stitch, and then when that you have those 2 stitches sitting there, you're going to knit that first one, you're going to take it back there, then you're going to knit the next one, and then you're going to move that top stitch that you moved back. All right, then you're going to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're always knitting these 6, so you know. Alright, so now you're working with the 2 stitches again. Knit the top, move it over one, then knit the bottom, and then move that stitch back one. Okay, then you're going to yarn over this next stitch and knit your way around. And you're going to see a theme developing here, okay? Now, when you did the math and you're going to be using 26 pegs, you know that your middle 6 you can subtract, which means you're going to want to increase 20 stitches total, okay? So I'm letting you know how this is going to work. So you're eventually going to want 2 stitches on 20 pegs. Alright, here we are back at the beginning again. Alright, so here's how this next section works. So you're going to knit your way over to 3, 4. You're going to yarn over that next one, and then you see your next stitch, your 2 stitch one. You're going to knit that top stitch, move it back one, knit the bottom stitch, and then move that top stitch back one. Then you're going to go over to the next one, knit the top stitch, move it back one, knit the next stitch, and move that stitch back. Then you're going to knit 6. And as you can see, you're stitch stacking and adding a stitch as you keep going around. Alright, so here's your 2 stitches. Knit that top stitch, move it over one, knit that bottom stitch, and then you're going to move it back one. Then you're going to do knit the top stitch, move it over one, knit that bottom stitch, and then move it back one, and then yarn over and knit your way around. I'm going to show you this one more time, and then I'm going to tell you to pause the video and get you a total of 20 stitches with an increase on it. Okay, but remember, when you have that last increase that you do, you need to make a complete round after that stitch stack is so that it becomes an actual stitch. Because what you're doing is when you do the yarn over, you're making the stitch, okay? So let me explain this a little better. Alright, so when you're doing this, you're going to, like, say, knit the 3, and here you're just making the stitch by yarning over, okay? But when you come in to do this, the stitch is actually there then, okay? You've actually worked the stitch this time around. You created on the last round, and you're actually working it this round. So when you get to your 20 rows, when you get to the fact that you have 20 pegs with 2 stitches on it, then you'll need to go in and actually work that yarn over. So you'll need to do another complete row of stitch stacking and everything to validate that increase, is the best way to describe that. So again, I'm showing you this one more time so you kind of get the hang of what I'm doing. And now I'm going to knit my way over. And then I'm going to do my stitch stacking again. Knit the top, knit the bottom, and then move that stitch back that you did at the top. and you want to keep up with what stitches are on top. Okay, it's kind of important, because you start forgetting which stitches are on top, then you start losing track of how they're going to line up, and you can get crossing of stitches, and you don't want that. Okay, and so I'm solidifying this new stitch here. Alright, then yarning over on that next empty peg after I did that one, and work my way around. And remember, we decided that we are working 26 total, so keep in mind that you're working 3 past each side in order to make 26 total on your halfway point. Okay, which is why you do the math for 1/3 of the loom, and then you do the math for 2/3 of the loom. It makes it a little easier to gauge your number. So go ahead and pause the video and get yourself up to par with where you need to be on your stitch stacking. So basically what this means is you should have 2 stitches on all these pegs here, and then 3 after. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 on this side, and 10 on this side, with 6 singles here in the middle. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and get your 10 increased stitches on each side, which is a total of 20, and then we will go from there to do the bottom half of the heel. Right now we're doing the top half, so pause the video, get that much done, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the bottom half of the heel. Okay, we have now done our increase, and you see it through here. You see that? Alright, so let's count. We've stopped right before our last increase sections. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is what we want. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so that looks right. Now we're ready to go in and decrease and finish the heel. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to continue your stack stitch here all the way over on this 1/2, okay? And I will tell you that the strong heel will go down. It's going to take up a lot more space on your sock than you typically would have. It's going to go halfway down your arch, alright? So it's going to be like right in the middle of your arch to do a strong heel like this. So you won't have as many rows to do on the foot. So keep that in mind. If you choose to do the strong heel, you're actually taking out a lot of the bulk of the actual sock by doing so. Alright, here's our last stitch stack. Okay, so we have 6 single stitches. We're going to kind of do a few short rows in working our way out. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to knit over to the middle, which would be pegs 3 and 4. Okay, and we're going to go over one more. Okay, so that it's the middle plus 2, so you have 4 pegs in the middle. Alright, and you'll want to kind of do that with any loom that you have. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to wrap and turn, and you're going to knit over 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, wrap and turn, knit over 4, then you're going to knit those 2 together. Then you're going to find you're getting to those stack stitches. You're going to wrap and turn that, and you're going to knit your way over to the last wrap and turn, and you're going to toss the wrap and turn peg over. And then here is where you're going to start repeating. You're going to wrap and turn, then you're going to knit your way over, and you're going to toss all 3 loops over when you get to your first. Alright, so you're going to go 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to wrap and turn that next peg and work your way back. And I'll show you this a couple of times, and then I'm going to tell you to go and run with it and finish up the decrease section. So you're going to toss all 3 loops over. Okay, then you're going to wrap and turn, and you're going to knit your way over, and then you get to that wrap and turn and increase section. So you're going to toss all 3 loops over. Then you're going to wrap and turn and knit your way over to the other side. And you see the pattern of wrapping and turning the next peg and then working your way over and knitting all 3 together. And what you want to do is you want to get all those increased stitch stacked pegs back down to 1 stitch. Alright, you're going to keep going back and forth, and that includes when you get past your starting point here. You're going to go back and forth, and then when you get to this last peg here, go ahead and wrap and turn that next peg even when you get to this last one, and then you're going to work yourself all the way back around to your starting point. So go ahead and pause the video and do all your decreasing, and then I'll show you what you have. So as you can see, you're going to go back in here and back and back and back, and what I'll do is I'll leave the last couple of decrease sections for you and then show you how to finish off the strong heel. But as you can see, you're already getting to have that heel section developing from this increase here. Okay, I'm wrapping and turning my last increase peg, and at this point I'm just going to work my way all the way back around to my starting point. Okay, so I'm just going to knit my way around. Okay, and as you can see, I wrapped and turned that, so that's my last one. So I'm going to toss all 3 of those stitches over, and then knit my way, continuing forward, and then knit all 3 of those stitches over on this last one, and then knit my way back to my starting point. Alrighty, now that completes the strong heel, and at this point you are able to just go ahead and work the rest of the sock as normal. And what you can see here is that it kind of has this gusset look, but it's not straight down. It goes out and then it cuts up that way, so you can kind of see what it looks like there. And that's how you do a strong heel. And at this point you just work your sock as you normally would, but do keep in mind when you choose to do a strong heel, it's going to do the heel and then basically go halfway down the arch, and so you're not going to need as much of the actual foot knitted in the round as you normally would. But that is how you do a strong heel.